Welcome to the Unwind Your Mind virtual retreat, designed to give you the tools to get healthier, feel happier, and soothe your soul. This series came to life as a result of my own journey to calm my thoughts, unclutter my mind, and create more joy in my life. And the impact of unwinding my mind has been nothing short of remarkable, and I know it can do the same for you. The intention behind the 2-week retreat is threefold: create hope, inspire change, and encourage mindfulness. Everything you want is really waiting for you. You just need to choose to take action. Just one action after watching this interview can begin to redirect your life. So just take some simple, subtle shifts and watch your life begin to change. I'm Melissa Lyons, and I'm so happy that you've decided to join me here. I'm happy for the both of us. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Keren Eldad. Also known as Coach Keren, she is the founder of With Enthusiasm Coaching and is an ICF accredited master executive coach. With a method designed to help the most intense personalities, overachievers, uncover and overcome their blind spots, Keren is internationally recognized with world-class leaders, high-profile athletes, media personalities, and major corporations. Her work and key research, such as the superstar paradox, have been featured in numerous media outlets and publications, including the Harvard Business Review, CNBC, and Forbes. And her recent TEDx talk, You Don't Know What You Don't Know, has been viewed over 200,000 times. A multi-layered virtual and personal experience is at the center of Eldad's warm, didactic approach to coaching. She believes that honoring people's personal experience is imperative to the process of coaching, and her approach cuts no corners and borrows from an ample range of accreditations, including the gold standard International Coaching Federation accreditation. She lives in Austin, Texas with her husband, Ryan, and their 4 pets, Waffles, Moose, Noli, and Lila. Let's welcome Keren. Well, hi, Keren. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Hi, Melissa. It's great to be here with you.
I'm excited to talk to you about some of your ideas about how to unwind our mind and find space for maybe less clutter and more joy. Tell me, has it always been super easy for you to have this all together life?
Has it been super easy for anybody? No, of course not. And I think that it's a perfect topic to discuss today. I call this detoxing your mindset, in the same way that we detox from harmful substances like gluten, like sugar, like caffeine, whatever region you're in, something applies to you, from sodas, etc. We can detox the mind of troubling thoughts. For everyone who has been through this work, there is a before and there is an after. There was a time in my life where 5 most regularly toxic patterns of thought that I've observed as a master coach and as a suicide counselor had occurred to me. Now they still do. There's no kind of getting out of this. Today we're speaking, it's February 2021. Everyone around you, at least on Instagram, is talking about COVID fatigue. So we are all prone to thoughts that are in the anxiety, exhaustion, fatigue, overwhelm category, right?
Right.
But with practice, with the practices and the tactics that you and I hopefully will cover today, for everybody out there, we'll show them that just as I had a before and after, and you have a before and after, they can also have a before and after. And the after is really about learning how to manage this. And you can do it. Anybody can. It just takes practice.
And so why doesn't everybody just do it?
Because it's not easy. And if it was easy, I wouldn't have a job. Certainly not one that paid the big bucks. The hardest thing anyone will ever do is truly reach emotional mastery. Emotional mastery is not emotional repression. We're talking about really relaxing into your own mind, learning to see the world in a new way. This isn't something that we can just understand intellectually because it involves our behavior. It's just like losing weight for good, quitting smoking for good. When you have ingrained patterns that you have absorbed for a long time, and that's what belief systems are. They are thoughts that we have agreed to think for a very long time. They become habit, and habits are pretty hard to break. So we have to really do a good job today, like a loving trial lawyer, of litigating people's thoughts, of showing you that the 5 most common toxic patterns of thinking, and I'll tell you what they are in just a second, are something that you need to actively litigate. You have to see all on its surface that they're ridiculous. And only that way will you shift your attitude towards them and stop accepting them at face value. And that's when you start to change.
I love it. I'm looking forward to hearing what they are and how to process them. Did you just wake up one day and decide, oh, I'm just going to be different? Or did something like, what makes a person decide all of a sudden to flip that switch and to start down a new path? I know in my case, it was sort of like hitting bottom was a good way to build back up.
I always say that hitting bottom is very useful. I did too. I got really lucky. I lost everything. At the age of 35, went through a divorce, put all my stuff in storage, lost most of my money in that divorce. Then the storage burned down. Then I lost my job, couldn't find one for 5 months. I was sleeping on friends' couches. And then, in a horrific coincidence, lost both of my cats who died within a month of each other. All of this happens in a 6-month space to a person who had done everything right. I went to the right schools. I got the right job. I married a tall guy. Everybody knows that's the holy grail. I stayed thin. I didn't say ridiculous things at parties and so on and so forth. And then everything just went down in flames. And I was very, very lucky that that happened, because the truth is, I was truly unhappy with my choices before. Even though they were the right choices, they were never the right choices for me. That marriage was not something I chose out of love. It was certainly something I chose out of doing the right thing. Again, tall was an actual factor for me back then. The job was nice, but it was certainly nowhere near the awesomeness of my potential. And I always knew I was capable of more. I just hadn't had the guts to go for it. My public speaking skills, today I speak for a living, were really shoddy. I was terrified of speaking in public. This is hilarious for anyone who watches me now, and I literally speak for a living once a week. And so there is a before and there is an after. And the after is mindful, thoughtful, fully aware of my preferences, has taken the time to consider who I am, why I do what I do, and what I want to do next. And it's really down to processes and practicing these until they become the essence of how you show up. How you show up is how you lead, how you create in your life, and how you make deliberate choices.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. And
It's
so
always
true.
better to tell people that because they might be in their version of before. If you're waking up with any form of dissatisfaction, let me be very clear. It is about choices, and there's nothing wrong with that. We understand that people have circumstances in their life. I did too. I still do. But it's about a decision of whether to just deal with it and be okay with it and say, yeah, it's good enough, or understand that there is a screaming going on inside, and it's not going to get lulled. It won't get quieter. It'll actually get louder and louder until it starts to collapse the systems. That is why for most people, rock bottom is extraordinarily useful, because it's a very clear indication this way not working. You may want to try another way.
Yeah, I look at it as a gift, absolutely a gift. And for me, it happened more than once, and each time everything got better than before. So it's a wonderful.
Like 1 fall, 2 fall, 3 fall. And I remember when the storage unit burned down, even before the cats died, I actually went to a bar and bought everybody a round of shots. And I was like broke. That was all the money I had. Because I knew that this was a sign that favor was coming, that the universe was giving me a very, very clear indication. And that was actually the beginning of understanding that I had transformed, because former me would have been freaking out that all the stuff was gone. We're talking Prada and Chanel, beautiful clothes and furniture and everything I owned, really, that was just burned to a crisp, versus, okay, I get it. You're trying to tell me something. What
You
is
listen.
what is this good for? What is this good for is the transformation. It's the essence of the transformation. The beginning of asking, what's the opportunity here? What can I learn here? That is a breathtaking transformation. And that really shows a pivot in habits of thought. That's what the detox is all about.
So tell us about the 5 most common toxic thoughts. And
No matter who you are, either you're a superstar who comes to coaching and is really ready to go for their next level, or you're somebody who calls on crisis text line, which is the biggest suicide hotline in the world, to really just ask us to help you to make it through the night. I found that there are really only 5 categories of toxic thoughts. I challenge anybody out there to talk to me about other categories. We're not talking isolation, loneliness, illness, brokenness, heartbreak. Those still fall within these. These are the thought patterns that precede the events or the circumstances in life. The first is judgment. Making assumptions is an easier way of saying it. Is us believing what we see without any full evidence of the full picture. For example, I'm sitting on an airplane, some baby is kicking my seat. I yell at the mother for being a shitty mother and for being a crappy person who's interrupting my flight, only to realize, and this actually happened to me, that this was a nice lady whose husband had just left her and she wasn't paying attention because she was in a horrible depression that day. An enormous picture versus a tiny sliver of the reality that we are all seeing. The second, negativity. Negativity is literally the way we see the world. How many people do you know won't start a business because 95% of businesses fail, or will tell you that the economy is bad, or will talk to you incessantly about how there are no men out there or no women out there? This is negative focus. It's not true. Those are not facts. As a matter of fact, 15% of businesses survive. And you know what? You might as well think that your business will be within that 15%. You have no evidence to the contrary. There was no apocalypse. All the wonderful men and women have not died. Anyone starting again can find a fabulous, viable partner. And even when the economy is bad, isn't it true? By the way, we know this. In a year in which the economy all over the world has been shattered, aren't there some people who have walked away winning bigly? That's right. So you might as well choose to see the possibility. And this is what I like to call the evolution or the detoxing of the word can't to won't. Start understanding that can't is always a choice and won't is always the opposite choice. This is how we graduate from learned helplessness to learned optimism. And optimism isn't about believing in fairies and ponies. It's really just about believing better. When you believe better, you at least have a chance of getting out of those circumstances. The third is deadly, especially for women, and it is insecurity. Insecurity is not just doubt, it's self-doubt. Is if my hair doesn't look fantastic today and somebody just told me that I'm not as good as I think I am, I will absorb it and it will completely cripple me from making any moves in my life. It'll move me into analysis paralysis. This is the realm of perfectionism. This is the realm of defeatism. They are never good. They're always in your way. The best ways out of this can be discussed at length, but there are 2 surefire ways. The first is be a little nicer to yourself. Start speaking more kindly to yourself. It sounds trite, but I keep a picture of myself as a baby at my desk. This is me, 18 months old. Look how cute. That little baby. And I always remind myself when I want to beat myself up that baby is still here. We don't talk mean to babies. I would never speak rudely or harshly to a baby. And I'm sure neither would you. And when you're gentle on yourself, you allow yourself to move into an area in which you see that you're always improving. Like a baby learning to walk, you are always learning. You're getting better. It's okay. So what if you mess up? And number 2, remember your leverage. I say this to you, Melissa, just today, as you were talking about your first ever virtual conference. I don't know, and I'm still learning. Yeah, you are. But you know what? You didn't start working yesterday. You have some serious experience. You've done some amazing things in your life. We always have to remember that even though this might be a first time for this, we've done a couple of things, and we will start to move back into our leverage and into our security. The fourth is the most poisonous of all. Are you interested to know what it is?
I'm writing it down.
Blame and resentment.
Mm-hmm.
Blame and resentment. This happened to me. They did this to me. is poison that we are carrying and literal toxins in the body. This causes disease. There are so many studies that have shown a correlation between disease in the body and not being able to let go of resentment. The best story I ever tell is an incredible story. My sister married my brother-in-law 14 years ago. They are happily married to this day. I'd like to apologize for all the noise. We're living at home today. It is what it is. You're lucky the dogs aren't barking. And on her wedding day, her mother-in-law forbade her father-in-law for attending the wedding. Why? Because more than a decade prior, he had left her for another woman. So she ruins wedding night. Everyone is upset. And I thought to myself in that moment, who really is suffering here? They'll figure it out. They'll bounce back. We'll have a good party. Everyone will make amends and move forward. But that woman, she's carrying this after 10 years. 10 years of miserable, he did this to me thoughts. 10 years of poisoning other people with that. That's what resentment is. And for this, there is only one antidote: forgiveness. Forgiveness does not mean we forget the event. It means we let go so that we can move forward. It's not about letting them go. It is about letting you go. And you can reframe this meaning to empower you. I speak with rape victims. I never say to them, forgive the rapist because they deserve forgiveness. I say, ask yourself if maybe you asked to be called to something bigger in this life, like healing others. Most people have always wanted to uplift others. And they'll remember that, yes, they can use their story of incredible survival as inspiration rather than a hindrance for their soul. And then there's the fifth, and this one is for all the millennials out there. Peace, what's up? It's impatience. Impatience is the next toxic thought. Where is my thing? I've been working so hard. What am I doing wrong? This is really a lack of faith. And for impatience, well, you and I maybe are a little bit better at this. I don't know about you, Melissa, but I still remember a time where you ordered something on a catalog and it took 6 to 8 weeks to get to your house. I remember afternoons in my room listening to a CD of Madonna, and that was the whole afternoon. So I'm quite comfortable, a lot more comfortable, I think, than younger generation was waiting for things, letting them happen. But for everybody else, a smart thing to do is to start to understand how plants work. When you plant a seed in the ground, it's not automatically coming out, right? So you do have to start to understand that when you have planted seeds, when you've done your best, when you've done all you can, there does come a point where you have to allow it to grow. And hopefully that'll help everybody to understand that just because I don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. It's probably happening. You're going to be okay. And so those were the 5 toxic patterns and hopefully the beginnings of the understandings of how to work through this. In the worksheet that we're giving everybody today, there are ways to practice all of these. Can't to won't. Pausing, learning how to pause through a moment of judgment and asking yourself a few critical questions that will always turn a situation where you think you see the fullness of the picture that's attacking you around. Is it true? Is there any other way to see this? Is there any opportunity here? And if anybody out there takes the time to just do those exercises as they pertain to the big items that are happening in their lives, you'll start to do what I do naturally and what you do naturally, which is to practice your way out of them. And you'll have a before and you'll have an after. I guarantee it. It is that simple. Now, for more than that, because again, you can't see your own blind spots, right? That's the unfortunate thing about life. And that's also why they call them blind spots. There's nothing like coaching. Those of us who are seasoned and have seen this 1,000 times, I've coached more than 500 people individually. I've coached dozens of billion-dollar companies like Estee Lauder and Deutsche Bank. We can see your blind spots a mile away. Also because they were ours, right? You always recognize a former version of you. You're like, oh, I've been there. I know. And there's a lot of self-love work that needs to get in there. That insecurity piece, the third one, there's a big bunch of crap underneath there that you may want to mine into and really learn not to cover it with esteem, with confidence, with bravado, but to really replace it with the depths of appreciation for yourself. That's what this work is all about. But you will get there.
Massive exercise in listening to your heart, listening to the experiences, listening to or observing your reaction to things, isn't it?
It's allowing yourself to sit with discomfort. This is something that most people just can't tolerate even the thought of. They won't even admit that they have a problem. It's so hard to think about having to sit with I am not enough or this isn't working. But it's okay. You won't die. I promise you, you won't die. You will probably be able to listen to the emotions and start working with them. The way I like to characterize these negative thoughts, hard thoughts, difficult moments is, of course, is ego, but I like to call it the opponent. An opponent is not in sports something that's there to kill you. It's something that's there to get you better. You'll play, you'll be defeated, you'll play better next time, you'll play better next time, you'll play best, you'll get really good, you'll start to enjoy the game, you'll start to want stronger opponents. And that's how we get really resilient and really passionate and really lean into our preferences in life and stop letting life happen to us.
I love it. And I love that you've got it broken down into the 5 areas and you've got the worksheet that people can download and work through.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
It saves people time.
Saves people time. Well, and it gets you practicing.
It'll take everybody else a shorter time.
Yeah, that's the idea. Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking us through your journey, or a bit of your journey, and a lot of your solutions and opportunities and possibilities for all of us.
It's a pleasure. I hope this has served everybody out there today. Thank you for doing this, Melissa. It's a real service to other people.
Well, it's been my pleasure and my opportunity. So thank you too.
Thank you.